Alright guys, so Bill Maher and Piers Morgan, two of the most insufferable men on TV, recently sat down on Bill's show to talk about abortion. And at this point, I'm honestly just impressed with Bill's ability, even on issues that I nominally agree with him on, to make the worst argument that you've ever heard in your life. So let's go ahead and watch this clip here and come out the other side.
You know, that's why I don't understand the 15-week thing. Or the Trump's plan is, let's leave it to the states. You mean, so killing babies is okay in some states? Like, I can respect the absolutist position. I really can. I scold the left on when they say, oh, you know what? They just hate women. People who aren't pro-life, pro-choice. They don't hate women. They just made that up. They think it's murder. And it kind of is. I'm just okay with that. I am. I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world. I'm sorry, we won't miss you. That's my position on it. What?
That's quite harsh, Bill.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not
Is
sure
that not your position if you're pro-choice?
Isn't that mainly because you don't like children? I mean...
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
no. I mean, but if you are, you said you're pro-choice. That's your position too.
Okay, so, I mean, you can literally feel the uncomfortability of the people in the audience when he says that. Just dead silence, no reaction, no applause, no boos, just very uncomfortable reaction from the audience there. So first off, let's say what Bill is right about here. So he's 100% correct that every Republican or right-wing person who believes that abortion is murder and that life begins at conception, that it doesn't make sense for you to then say, well, we support a 15-week abortion ban or a 6-week abortion ban or leaving it up to the states or even, you know, exceptions for rape and incest. None of that lines up, because if you actually believe abortion is murder and life begins at conception, then you should be in favor of a nationwide total abortion ban, unless your position is that, yes, it's murder, but it's okay in certain specific circumstances, or it's okay to murder babies before 15 weeks, or before 10 weeks, or 12 weeks, or whatever the threshold is. So he's correct about that hypocrisy. Now, obviously, I do think a majority of Republicans, at least elected Republicans, would absolutely vote for a total nationwide abortion ban if they had the opportunity to do so. And so I think that they're posturing on 15 weeks or 12 weeks or pretending to be moderate on the issue is exactly that. It's just posturing, right? They know that their side of this equation is incredibly unpopular amongst the American people, and so they pretend to be a little bit more moderate. But again, that is a very big sticking point there, that it doesn't line up if you actually believe what you're saying, that abortion is murder. You can't have some middle ground and say, okay, it's murder is okay half the time or something like that, right? So he's correct about that. Now, what is he wrong about here? Well, I would completely disagree with the notion that abortion is murder. What is murder? Murder is when a human being kills another human being, and it's not in some sort of an act of self-defense, right? The issue is that when we're talking about abortion, and a vast majority of abortions take place in the first trimester. I think it's over like 90% of them, you know, in the second trimester, especially the third trimester. Most of those are purely for medical reasons, right? There's a threat to the life of the mother, the baby is not viable, etc., etc. But when we're talking about especially first trimester abortions, we're talking about a clump of cells. We're not talking about some fully fledged baby or human being that has feelings and emotions and consciousness and is aware of what's going on. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a clump of cells. And so to call that murder, I think, is incredibly disingenuous, unless you want to say that, you know, jacking off every once in a while is murdering millions of sperm, right? It's that ridiculous of an argument, at least to me. And one of the hypotheticals that I hear people bring up all the time that I think is a pretty fair one is that, like, if you were in a hospital, right, and the hospital's on fire, and you're the only person who can save one of two options. You have a fully born baby that just came out the womb a couple of days ago, and that baby is lying right here. And then next to it, you have a tray that's filled with 100, you know, fertilized eggs, right? Or embryos, or whatever the case may be. What are you going to save if you had to choose between those two? Because if you really believe that from the moment of conception, right, that is a fully fledged human being, you would go with the tray of fertilized eggs or embryos or whatever. But I think most rational, reasonable people on this issue would say, yeah, of course I'm going to pick the baby. Of course I'm going to save this actual born, alive, fully fledged human being that's sitting right here and not the clump of cells that's sitting on a tray over there. And I think that cuts through a lot of, you know, this posturing on this issue. And it's just utterly bizarre to me that he would give in to this reactionary right-wing framing that, yeah, abortion is murder, but it's okay because what exactly? Because I guess the implication of Bill Maher's argument here is that, well, we have 8 billion people on the planet, and so that's kind of enough. We don't need more people, which also kind of feeds into another right-wing sort of reactionary conspiracy that the leftists want population control and to, plunge birth rates and whatever else, right? And so it's just a bizarre reactionary framing that not only is, I think, inaccurate, but also at the same time is totally ineffective. Because what exactly are you doing here? Well, the clip that I actually pulled this video from was posted here by Citizen Free Press, which I guess is a, some right-wing outlet or whatever. And you're giving into this kind of framing, right? They say Bill Maher openly admits the left's real position on abortion. And you're giving them this narrative that, like, yeah, see, Democrats and leftists and liberals are actually the crazy ones, right? We're not the authoritarian ones. We're not the murderous ones, whatever. We're not the crazy ones on this issue. It's actually their side because, look, they're openly pro-murder, right? They're pro-murdering babies, and they're saying so. Why would you give them this kind of a layup rhetorically? I mean, this is the kind of shit that we hear from Trump all the time, where he comes out and he says, people are saying Republicans are the radical ones on this issue. It's actually Democrats. They support post-birth abortions, right? They kill the baby after it's already born. You're giving in to the ability for Republicans to make that kind of a claim when that kind of a claim is fundamentally untrue and inaccurate. So, I mean, there you go. Bill Maher, once again, it's honestly impressive at this point, coming up with the worst possible ways to make arguments for things that, again, even I nominally agree with.
Politic guy has the best politic. Believe me, no one does it like him. Believe me, everyone is saying